Well, good afternoon and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd talk a little bit about growing strawberries organically because, as you know, this is very rapidly becoming a real passion of mine, and I'm so thrilled with the way these are turning out because this is all really their first year. So these are all new plants that I've put in, and of course the strawberries do really well the second and third year. So it really is not important to worry too much about your first crop. But I have to say I'm really pleased with the way this is going. And quite a few of the varieties such as Royal Sovereign, the French varieties of that I've planted, plus a few others, Cambridge favourites, all seem to be doing really well at the moment. So I thought I would just talk a little bit about how to grow them organically, in the sense that I think one of the things you have to remember is if you're going to grow them outside and not in a greenhouse or a polytunnel, then you are going to have to contend with the odd slug. Now, I don't really have very many slugs in this garden, if any, really, in any sizable numbers, because I have hedgehogs. But the only thing I'd say is that if you grow strawberries, they are a magnet to slugs, and you will see, particularly the baby ones, if they can find any ripe strawberries, they're going to find them before you do. So what's the best thing to do? Well, in my opinion, the very best thing you can do is pick them when they are only just showing signs of redness. So if you wait for them to look like a wonderful red juicy strawberry that you'd see in a supermarket shelf, you probably are going to be too late. If you are growing them organically, you've got to beat those slugs. The best time to pick them is first thing in the morning, I find. Give them a jolly good water the night before. That allows the berries to plump up quite a bit. And then get up early before it's warm and just try and find the ones that are really just starting to turn. Now, I picked these last night, and what I do is I put them into a cardboard box like this. These had tomatoes in, I think. And I just lay them flat. Don't put them on top of each other, just lay them nice and flat. And if you look at this, for example, this one here, in previous times, before I started to sort of experiment with growing strawberries, I would have said, you know, this is not ready. But last year, when I first started growing them, I would wait until they got completely red. And I'm afraid they did succumb to birds and also to the very odd slug. And sometimes to a little bit of general rotting, especially if you get a thunderstorm. So if you pick them like this, when you just see that little red tinge, put them into a container like this and put them somewhere cool. Don't put them in a sunny windowsill, because once the ripening process has started, you're going to be wanting to eat them quite quickly. What you don't want to do is leave them for any length of time, because of course the flavour will start to go. One of the joys of growing your own organic strawberries is that the flavour is so wonderful. So don't leave them too long, but if you pick them first thing in the morning, leave them during the day in a nice cool place in the house. By the evening of that day, most of them will be ready to eat, and by the next morning for your breakfast, definitely they will be. So if you look at this here, this bed here, which is where I've got quite a lot growing, I'll just try and show you inside all the leaves here, if I can find one that's ready. Let's see. Yes, there you go. Look, if you look under here, there's one here. Now, it doesn't really look like it's going to do anything, but it's got a tiny little bit of red coming. Now, I would take that off tomorrow morning, definitely, and put that to ripen, because if I leave that too long, then, you know, it's too late. And certainly, I think that's the way to go. See, down here, you've got another one that's just coming. It's amazing. Once they start, the process is quite rapid, and I've already picked this today, so that'll be tomorrow morning. I'll be picking that and just leaving it for a few hours in the house. So that's really what I do, and it seems to be working, so I highly recommend that. So I'll just take you on a little tour of my other strawberries and see how they're getting on. That was the main crop bed there. And funnily enough, they seem to be beating the earlies this at the moment. So these are carrying a nice crop, but they're not actually turning yet in this bed. So there's quite a lot here, different sorts, all doing really well. I've got some over there in those pots at the back where I can just see one or two turning there as well. So that's going to be important to pick those tomorrow. So really and truly, I can highly recommend growing strawberries, and just pick them as soon as you see that redness and you can't go wrong. So I think that's the most important thing actually in growing these strawberries. I think don't leave them too long. But other than that, this is my perpetual bed here, which is the one late varieties and the ones that will flower and fruit quite a bit of quite a few times through the year. This is doing quite nicely actually as well. There's one or two coming on here. If you see, these are quite large actually, some of these down here, under there. So I'm quite happy with those. And then I've got a few, as I say, of the decorative sort with lovely, lovely pink flowers. This is a really beautiful one, this French variety here. And you've got the pink flower and the strawberry that's coming on here. So there we are, the joy of growing strawberries.